Amazing stuff is happening. A spiritual battle. We're gonna get back to your calls here in a minute. I have my friend Kevin Jackson with me by way of phone. Kevin Jackson is an executive director of the Black Spear, syndicated radio host, best-selling author, Fox News contributor, and now a film producer. He has a brand new film, a brand new documentary that he's done with Kevin Sorbo called Bleeding Blue. And it's about the what's happening with our police officers around the country. And the website is bleedingbluemovie.com, bleedingbluemovie.com. Before I bring Kevin on, I just want to play a short excerpt from the trailer, and we got this from Bleeding Blue Movie.
America's trigger-happy policing is back to the fore after an 18-year-old was shot.
A suspect dying at the hands of police officers.
Two police officers accused of beating to death a homeless man.
Beaten and pepper sprayed.
That their officers used excessive force.
The troublemakers carried pepper spray and guns and were wearing badges.
Amazing stuff. I remember under Barack Obama, the Black Lives Matter chanting, "What do we want? Dead cops. When do we want it now? When do we want it now?" And right after that, I mean, it just went crazy. Peanuts in the blanket, fry 'em like bacon. It's really shameful what is happening to our police officers around the country. Kevin, thank you so much for coming on. And congratulations on the documentary.
Thank you, Jesse Lee. I appreciate you bringing me on, man, especially with one of our locations being in L.A. because, I wanted to get out there to that particular theater, and unfortunately I'm going to be in St. Louis for that particular, on that day, which is tomorrow, the grand opening. But we got to get some butts in the seats out there, man. Yeah, I want to get everybody and their mama to check it out. Tell the people when, where, and how here in L.A. Yeah, they can go to bleedingbluemovie.com. It's got the list of the theaters that are on there, and the ones somewhere in Beverly Hills. I don't know the name of it, but it's in Beverly Hills, and it's a small theater, and we're going to make some tickets available for law enforcement to go for free. But I'm going to tell you, man, if you like the trailer, this thing is awesome. Yeah, it's got an arc of a guy's name is Clifford. They called him the gentle giant, big black guy, and he got killed. They shot him 4 or 5 times, his mom said, and she couldn't understand why they had to shoot him so many times. And that sets the stage of it, and we tell you Clifford's story, and there's a reason why you don't know his name. We also deal with Barack Obama when he's made the comment that the cops acted stupidly on the Cambridge incident. That's what really lit all of this, Jesse Lee, as you know. Yeah. Because he could have easily come out and said Professor Gates needed to check his privilege and not use me as a guy that he knows and just cooperate with the police. But he didn't do that. And so that led to Ferguson, which led to the Ferguson effect and an increase in the crime across this country. And less safe black neighborhoods, less safe police officers. And it seems like the left doesn't care. They love the lawlessness. They love giving the outlaw the trophy. Yeah, that's exactly what happened with Kaepernick in this Nike deal. Who would do that? There's nobody that would do that with any sanity, but that's what they did. They gave Kaepernick the trophy. That's amazing. What do you say to people like Kaepernick and others who are saying that there is police brutality in America? I would tell them that, look, does it exist? Absolutely. Is it limited to blacks? The answer is no. And guess what? We deal with police brutality and bad cops in the movie. And we have a guy who calls himself the mob cop, the mafia cop, when he was in service. And he says, guys, I was crooked. So crooked he wanted to kill himself. But we deal with that stuff openly and honestly. But what we should be dealing with more openly and honestly is the killing that we do to each other, and the mayhem that young black men are committing all across this country, committing almost 50% of the violent crime. But Kaepernick isn't going to take a knee for that because there's no money in it. There's no fame in really telling the truth about it. when somebody wants somebody to be a social justice warrior that they can tout a fake narrative about. So that's what this movie is to educate people about the truth of policing, because there's so many good police officers, and do it in a very clever and entertaining way, and hopefully save lives, save cop lives and save lives in the minority community.
And so are you saying that there is police brutality does exist, or there are bad cops within the departments?
Oh, there are bad cops within the department, but if you want to say, is there systematic police brutality, the answer is no.
Right.
Are there bad cops who do things? Yes. Are there good cops that make bad decisions from time to time? Yes. The same way, look, if we were going to really analyze what's going on in the black community and who kills who the most, I would say check with your physician, check with a doctor. You're more likely to die from a doctor than you are from a cop. You're more likely to get struck by lightning than you are to be killed by a cop. So, the idea that there's this, Randy Moss wearing a tie with 12 black names on it to get inducted into the Hall of Fame because he wanted to raise awareness of a problem. What problem? Those people were killed over a decade, and the majority of the people who were on that tie got killed because they were resisting arrest. Now, in the times when a tragedy occurs and a cop kills somebody black or anybody, we all feel for that person. We feel for the police officer, and we feel for the person who was killed. And if it's done intentionally, we certainly feel for the person who was killed and not for the police officer. But in the overwhelming times where these people encounter incidences where this can occur, it's because it's a bad guy, and they have to do their jobs. And we don't want to let them do it. And we should be asking ourselves, why do we live in a society that wants people to put themselves in harm's way and give them no protections when it comes to them, fighting, for their professional lives from time to time, and certainly for their lives in general.
I noticed that Barack Obama, while being in the White House for 8 years, seemed not to have much respect for cops or police officers. He seemed to have a bad taste for them. Did you notice that? And what do you think was up with him?
Yeah, we cover him in the movie on that, where he says, you got to have the talk with your kids and all this stuff. Look, it doesn't matter what color you are. You have to talk with your children about how you deal with police officers. They're armed, and they are, they've got a charter to protect the public. And if they ask you to do something, you need to cooperate, because But this idea, yes, the bias, though, I don't think was a legitimate one when he talked about being followed around stores,
right,
and blacks are pulled over disproportionately, and et cetera. And by the way, in the movie, we talk about a situation in Ferguson that will be shocking to people about what the Barack Obama Justice Department did to that little city is literally something that will be talked about for quite some time. And it just amazes me that it was allowed to happen. So, but Obama knew he set the narrative of being anti-cop, and then he fed the narrative, and he got the media feeding the narrative, and so that became the pervasive thought of the day, which is hate cops. But does he believe it? I don't think many of the people that consider themselves anti-cop even believe it. I think they see that there's money to be made. And you know how this racket works, Jesse.
Yeah, I do.
These people, they profit off of it.
I grew up in Alabama on a plantation under the Jim Crow laws, and I've never had to be told, even as a kid, respect the cops. When you stop following instructions, it's just common sense. And
right.
And when Barack Obama started to go against cops, I'm now here and speak out against them. I'm now hearing more and more black parents who are telling their children to be aware of the cops. When they stop, you do this. But they're doing it in a way where they are causing these young black boys and girls to be afraid of the cops. They're not telling them that this is just common sense. You follow instruction. But they're putting fear in these kids, and some of them are going to overreact and end up dead or in jail.
Yeah, and we cover that in the film as well, that the very issue you just talked about. And what's funny is, like, I remember seeing Gabrielle Union talking about this, about her kids, and I was thinking to myself, Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade, have any interaction they had with police involved them asking for an autograph from Dwayne Wade or her? They have no there's no actual knowledge of her with any situation in a bad way involving police. The majority of the people who are talking about how cops can be bad or whatever have had zero bad interactions with cops. And then they pass that nonsense on to their kids who've had zero interactions. Your interaction with a cop's going to be a traffic ticket, most likely, at best. But these kids now, they want to film it. They got to, it's almost like a badge of honor to get a cop to, to call them pigs and stuff. While they're just pulling you over for a stoplight, because you ran a stop sign or something. They got to be, oh, look at this pig pulling me over because I'm back. No, they pulled you over because your tail light was out, or you were weaving or whatever. But no, it's not enough. It all has to be racialized. It all has to be, because it's become the thing to do. It's become the hot item. And all these guys want to do is do their job. They're like, man, look, I'm writing you a ticket. You did something wrong. I'm writing you a ticket.
So Gabrielle Union is being Mary James. She's a black actress. Dwayne Wade is a Black Lives Matter supporter, NBA basketball player. And the movie comes out tomorrow night. You can go to bleedingbluemovie.com. And I want everybody in LA to show up tomorrow night. And Kevin, the location's on your website, right?
It is.
Okay.
And I wish I had it handy, but I don't. I'm in D.C. at an event. But, yeah, please go there. And if you can't go, buy a cop a ticket so they can go, because we have a thing, give a cop a ticket, and we'll leave free tickets for the police officers and law enforcement. Congratulations
again, man. I wish you well with this documentary.
Thanks, Jesse Lee.
All right,
Take
buddy.
care.
Okay. So the documentary about the police is showing tomorrow night at the Lemleys Music Hall 3. Lemleys Music Hall 3, 9036 Wilshire Boulevard, Beverly Hills, California. And we have a screenshot up for you. 9036 Wilshire Boulevard in Beverly Hills, California. So check it out, folks. You got to support this. All right? Very, very, Mamma Mia, interesting.